Now, there's a difference between what I call speaking and how to become a presentainer. It's a whole different concept. In fact, what I mean by that is a real quick story. Dave Van Hoos got very good at doing one presentation. And here's what I want you to understand. You only need one presentation to make Inc. 500. You don't need one presentation to do $14 million in 1 year. That's it. I did this presentation over and over again. I was so scripted out that precisely during my talk, I would pick up a glass of water, precisely engineered to do the power of pause. Most powerful thing you can ever do in your talk. So, what happened to me is then I got a call from somebody. In fact, it was a guy named Than Merrill. Does anybody know Than Merrill? Might have seen him on infomercials. So Than calls me up, and I've been a speaking coach. And I helped Than with his presentation. And in fact, he was in my first mastermind group. When I started the first speaking mastermind group, he was in my mastermind group. And I helped him with his presentation. So he called. I was helping him out in California, flew back here, and he gave me a call. And imagine this picture. He says, hey, me and my partner thought about this. Instead of me getting on a plane and flying all the way from California to Florida to speak, we want to see if you'll do it. And we'll just pay you to show up. Now, back then, I loved speaking. But then I was like, well, I only have one presentation, and I know my presentation. I really don't know your product that well. I don't know your pitch. But I said, okay, I'll do it. And he was getting married and stuff, so he gave me this whole thing. My wife, I'm speaking too much. Would you please do it? I said, all right. And he says, the speaking event was Friday. It was tomorrow. So I'm like, okay. So I said, send me over your presentation. So I drive over to the event to speak for Than. And a lot of things going through my head right now because I'm like, man, I was so scripted out in this one presentation. And what I've discovered, and I knew my product very well. So this is some beliefs that I had to shatter. So I get there, and the promoter, his name's Colin. There's about 500 people there. I'm the first speaker there. And he says, where's Than at? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, where's Than? I go, didn't he tell you? He goes, tell me what? I was like, oh, gosh. Well, he's not coming. He goes, what? And he was so pissed off at Than. So if you're going to have somebody else speak for you, call the promoter first, right? But luckily, the guy knew me, and he says, because it's you, Dave, it's okay. So now I'm back there, and my mind is racing because my frame was that, man, I knew my presentation so well. Now I got to sell somebody else's stuff. And I don't know if this is going to work. I got up on stage. I captivated the audience. I was trained at presentaining. And I presentated them. I took them on a path. I leaded and paced them. I set up the anchors. I set up the thing. I said, everybody get up right now and go to that back table. And out of all the speakers, I was the number one closer at that event. So now I found out it's not about the product. It's about presentaining.